guys, and welcome back to the first episode of the Stephanie's Place reviews. At first, I was going to put all three episodes, one, two, and three, together since I was a little behind, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. I am going to give each episode its respectful single video and just do my best to push out 4 through 8 in a timely fashion. But you will be getting you're gonna get a lot of videos this week, but you will be getting episodes 1, 2, and 3 and then 4 all this week. Um so I am currently watching or rewatching the first episode. So if you're gonna see cuts in the video, because I am watching it as I am reviewing it. So yeah. But of course, let's just do the my usual intro, which is hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of If I May Speak Candidly, where we dive into the crazy world of wrestling from the comfort of my domain. And we are getting into the first episode of Stephanie's Place. And first, I just want to start off the video by saying, I've always been a fan of Stephanie McMahon. Even as a kid, I used to want the little knee high boots like Stephanie. Mind you, I'm like 12, 13, and my mom, she was never the type to deter me from the things that brought me joy, but she definitely kept it very kid friendly. So even if I wanted to dress like Stephanie, she made it very kid friendly, so that it wasn't too grown up because I had a black mama. Okay, I have a black mama and I had a black grandma. So I couldn't do too much without them saying, mm-mm, that child is looking too grown. But it just brought back so many memories just watching the little clips of Stephanie and just seeing how emotional she got walking into the new WWE headquarters for the first time. I just feel like a lot of things has happened, in her life in and out of um the wrestling ring and stuff. And so I'm just really glad that Stephanie is kind of feeling comfortable enough in coming back because after the whole debacle with her father and the things that he, has been accused of doing, not wanting to go into that all too much, but we know the accusations. Um, it has to be very comforting for your colleagues and superstars to be so open to having you back in that circle, and and she looks like she's definitely happy to be back. So of course I'm happy that Stephanie is happy and is back in the that WWE cycle. um so they starting off with talking about the returns of or the big returns of wrestlers, if they've been gone for some time, like Cody Rhodes, the Hardys, John Cena, The Undertaker. And of course this episode is about CM Punk and his return to WWE, a return that people thought was never going to happen. And I just I hope there's a big return at this WrestleMania coming up because, it, it's such a shot of adrenaline in your veins when you hear a song that you wasn't expecting to hear. And even if you're not there, which I hope to one day be able to experience this in person, just being in that proximity where everyone is gradually feeling that excitement all at once, and you sitting there slapping your forearm like The Rock, and you just feel your heart. beat race, your heart, just the whole adrenaline is just at an overload. And you see somebody who, is returning. And honestly, I think the biggest return thus far or in the last few years, outside of Cody has definitely been CM Punk, you know? Like the way he left, it was like, you're not coming back, And there's a few people that comes to mind who could return back, and I think it would get a similar or at least a very close reaction. I'll get to that towards the end. But uh yeah, definitely CM Punk's return was absolutely crazy. So, of course, the show, before we got into the return of CM Punk and just talking to Triple H about CM Punk, we talked about his own return after being injured with his first quad tear and him returning on Raw in Madison Square Garden, which I remember distinctively. Of course, it's another show I couldn't go to because, poor. But, I mean, listen, I grew up with a single mom. At the time, was my sister born yet? Overall, my mom, she had six of us, and I was the oldest. I am the oldest. And even though she couldn't afford tickets to go to these shows, because it was so many of us, um, my mom did exactly what she had to do to make it enjoyable. Okay, we had our cable, we had our dinner, we had our snacks. We would put blankets and pillows on the floor, and we will all sit in that living room and we will watch it until it went off. And I definitely remember when Triple H return, and it's always just, you just yell, you just scream, it's just that excitement of a return. Now, unfortunately, my mom kind of ruined CM Punk's return for us because when he came back almost 2 years ago, we was watching it on TV and my mom was watching it on her phone, and she just made this yelp sound like she was hurt. And so me and my younger sister, we looked at each other and we just like, oh, what is it, And then it's like shortly after that, like seconds later, his song started playing on the TV. So, it was kind of ruined a little bit, just a little bit. But I definitely remember Triple H's return. And so, yeah, I can assume that it is scary. I can assume that it is scary to go, for as long as you have to go, and the fans could be so finicky. They could be so um they move on quickly, you know? Like, you tell the fans what they like, you tell the fans what they care about. And of course, if injuries happen, which it happens all the time, um, shit happens, and you have to go. And while you're gone, somebody else has to come and take that place. Somebody has to come and take the place of you to the point of if or when you return. And so it's not surprising that a lot of these wrestlers wonder or focuses on the fact of whether the fans is going to give a shit about them when they come back. And um honestly, there hasn't been too many returns that I can remember of the recent past that no one cared about, because when Charlotte came back, she got cheers. um when John Cena came back, he got cheers. When The Rock comes back, bad guy, final boss, whatever, he gets cheers. When Roman returned at bad, well, not bad blood. That was not bad blood. What pay-per-view was that? Was that SummerSlam? Oh, my mind is mashed potatoes. Um, whichever pay-per-view that was, Roman got cheers, and he wasn't even gone that long. So, you know, when the Hardys appeared on NXT, like the damn roof just got blown off. Same way with Randy when he returned at Survivor Series, the same year as CM Punk, even though CM Punk did kind of overshadow him just a tad bit, just a tad bit, just a tad bit. But I can't think of any returns off the top of my head that people didn't care about. So, yeah, a little short story, but I do remember that return. So they get into the actual night of the return. And of course, they do a little monologue, little um, video montage of what led up to him leaving back in 2014. Now, when they talked about that pipe bomb promo that he did back in 2011, do I remember it? Yes. Why? Because I was about 7 months pregnant when that happened. I'm just sitting here, just rubbing my belly, not knowing if this is real or not. I just remember just looking at it and just thinking, uh, like I just didn't know if it was real. You kind of got a little feeling behind it that when he dropped that the fourth wall line, I think that's when it kind of hit us that okay, something is feeling a little off. And then of course, I kind of stopped watching wrestling by the time he actually left in 2014. So, I just kind of lost the the love for it. Um, but just the idea of them sneaking him in, and him signing the contract and stuff, and um that line that Triple H said he had shared with CM Punk about, if you're the same person that you were 10 years ago, then you wasted 10 years of your life. It's true. 10 years ago, I was 27. Excuse me. Actually, I am 38 now. So I was 28. And I mean, as much as I still had to grow up fast, I still had to be an adult, I still had to be a mother. Um, I still didn't have the level of maturity that I feel like I do now, no more than the level of maturity I will have 10 years from now when I'm 48. Um, but I just thought that was a very important line that was said because it's true, like you grow, shit happens, experiences happens. And so when I see a lot of people try to bring up a lot of the things that CM Punk said years ago, in reference to WWE, you say a lot of fucked up shit when you are hurt. You say a lot of hurtful things. Hurt people does hurt people. And, honestly, I haven't seen Punk have the most fun since his return. Honestly, when he comes out, you could tell this guy he has fun. And yeah. So but let's get into this SummerSlam jammy because SummerSlam was good last year. So let's see. Let's see. So before they actually got into his SummerSlam debut, or his return, his first match singles match back in WWE. They talked about the connection that Punk has with Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland being the town that he quit WWE in. Cleveland being his where he held his debut UFC fight. Cleveland being the town that SummerSlam was held last year. So it's definitely a connection between the past and the present and everything in between with Cleveland, Ohio. And he talked about just the fear behind trying new things. And it's true, it's the same thing with this channel. You know, the truth of the matter is, you're going to be scared, but you have to do it anyway. Like just do it. Um, there's a lot of things that I think people go through every single day of they want to expand in a certain way, but they stay stuck in stagnant energy is because they're afraid. And honestly, you know, there is so much rewards on the other side of your comfort zone. If you continue doing things that you're comfortable with, you're going to continue to get the things that you got, the things that you continue to get. And if anybody is just watching this review and they didn't watch the actual episode, please do, because there's a lot of gems that he is sharing. um in this little part here. Of course, Punk is wise beyond his years, and he's definitely a person I feel like you should listen to. Like when he talks, you should listen because there's a lot of wisdom that comes out of it. Now, it might be wrapped up in sarcasm. It might be wrapped up in a little it might be weathered a little bit, but with a lot of the shit that he's gone through, we have to understand that there's definitely wisdom that he picked up from it. So, yeah, I thought that was a very touching moment. So they just showed the part when CM Punk returned at Survivor Series, and I swear I just went back 2 years all over again because I remember the whole led up to that. I remember All in London. I remember hearing the rumors that Punk had quit. I remember the video that Tony had released, saying he was in danger, whatever. And this is September. And throughout those weeks, Punk was kind of insinuating. It was a little here and there things. He was dropping breadcrumbs, y'all. He was dropping breadcrumbs that he was coming back. And I remember I kept saying Punk was coming back, and I was crazy. Okay. He would never. And just kind of going back to that night when like the show has ended. Okay, the good guys won, and there's just this lingering, like there's just this lingering of energy, and it's just when his music played, and I swear I just watching that just part that just took me back because it was like my heart went straight to my ass. Like it went straight to my colon. I could not believe that man was actually there. Just hearing his music just felt extra loud that night, and uh it was a moment. It was a moment. It was a moment that I wish I had documented because it was a time. What a time to be alive on a Saturday night in Chicago, Illinois, like that was the night to be there, that was the night to be there. So, yeah. So, you know, I don't know if people necessarily believe in coincidences, synchronicities, whatever your beliefs allows you to believe. But, for Punk to return in November of 2023 to suffer an injury 2 months later that took him out for 6 months, just to return in time for his first official singles title, oh, excuse me, singles match in the town that he quit the WWE in, couldn't it be a bigger sign of full circle? And I'm not saying that his injury, I'm not saying that his injury was a good thing. I'm saying that it had to happen in a sense. And trust me, shit. I don't think nobody took Punk being injured harder than I did, okay? Because I was devastated. I was like, you just came back. What do you mean you're gonna be gone? Like it was a devastating moment. But his first match back being Drew, the man who ultimately caused the injury and took him out and made him miss WrestleMania and stuff. Um was definitely a full circle moment. I do remember that build up a lot. Oh my God. I could not stand Drew during that whole build up. But I ultimately started liking Drew again. Okay. Like I like Drew now. I like Drew now. Like I like Drew. But then the whole friendship bracelet and uh I wanted CM Punk to drive him to the nearest woods and just leave him there. Like just leave him in the middle of the woods, tied up to a tree. You know? But yeah, that I do enjoy watching this show to like go back in time because we didn't know that Stephanie was filming this show during this time. Like we're living it again in real time, and kind of just puts you I just love the fact that her show is able to bring you back to certain parts, certain time in history, um that will make you not only look back at that but look at everything that has happened since then and now with his triple threat match with Roman and Seth, and now he's finally at WrestleMania. This is his first WrestleMania in over a decade, and on top of that, it's his first WrestleMania as a main eventer. He's main eventing, so the show couldn't have come at a better time. But yeah. So, of course, Punk did lose that match against Drew McIntyre, but I don't necessarily think that him losing the match was a real loss because he won in the end. He won coming back to where he belonged. He won, being in a company that appreciate him. And that doesn't make him a loser. That makes him a winner. And honestly, I think I just want to end this episode on his quote, which is if your dreams doesn't scare the shit out of you, then you need bigger dreams. And it's true. It's true. I think now is the time to really start taking the bull of life by the horns. I think now is the time to really go out there and do things that scares you, you know? Um because what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? You can only gain what it is that you want, or you gain wisdom, you gain experience, uh, you gain a lesson, So very touching episode. Definitely will be getting into the Cody episode and then the Rhea Ripley shortly after. Of course, you're not getting this all in one day, so you will be getting this episode one day and then you'll be getting Cody and Rhea, but it's all being filmed in the same day. So if my hair looks the same, my eyeshadow's the same color, and I'm wearing the same shirt, it is because I'm recording all in one day. Um but again, if you stuck around, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And look out for episodes 2, 3, and eventually 4 with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the channel in the next couple of days. Bye.